Hey, with us now from Capitol Hill, member of the Foreign Relations Committee, Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. Why don't we just jump right in? John Bolton. When I say the name John Bolton.
Word association.
Well, word association.
Just one word.
What say you? John
mind?
Bolton.
Bolton, go.
I'm trying to think of a nice word, but I can't think of a nice word. But what I would say is that he's dangerous. He has a naive understanding of the world, and I don't want him anywhere near the State Department because he's an unrepentant advocate of regime change and the Iraq War and hasn't learned any of the lessons of the last 2 decades.
So let me ask you, Senator, does John Bolton actually still believe invading Iraq in 2003, even though we found no WMDs is a good idea?
He promoted a false assumption, the WMDs, but also he promoted that it would be very quick, we wouldn't have to stay long, no big deal. But he's still promoting the same thing. He says the Iraq War was justified and he'd do it again. Not only that, though, he's promoting the same kind of thing for Iran. He would bomb Iran and has said it repeatedly over and over again. His only argument is we didn't bomb them soon enough, but he would still bomb Iran, and he thinks it would be a cakewalk, would be greeted as liberators, that have embassies open in 30 days. It's a naive understanding of the world, and we just don't need any more of that in the State Department.
Senator, we know you don't like the prospect of Bolton. How do you feel about President-elect Trump's foreign policy picks so far? Flynn, Mattis, Tillerson.
I don't know any of them personally, but from what I've read, Mattis is an intellectual. He's a warrior. But there are many people who have been in combat who actually have a healthy distrust of combat. You know, one of my favorite quotes is from Eisenhower, who said, "I hate war like only a soldier can hate war, the stupidity, the futility, the banality." And so I'm hoping Mattis is from that kind of vein. And from what I've read of him, he's a thoughtful person. We may not agree on everything, but I think both he and General Kelly, who lost a son, I think they are not people who are eager for wanton combat or wanton killing.
Senator, we just had your colleague, Senator Corker, on, and I'm going to ask you the same question I asked him. Seeing that that Russia has very publicly declared cyber war on us, what do we do?
You know, I think we have to defend ourselves. I think I agree with Senator Corker that it is everywhere all the time, and we have to assume that it's occurring, and that all nations that have the ability to use cyber warfare are using it to their benefit or trying to use it to their benefit. So the key is that we have to protect ourselves, and that's sort of the answer out of this whole thing about whether the DNC was hacked or not. You know, if there's any evidence they were, we should investigate it because we need to protect ourselves, our government, and our institutions. And so I think that's the lesson out of this. But to say, oh, it's going to go away or we're going to retaliate and make them pay for this, no, we need to learn how to defend ourselves from the ever-evolving attacks that come our way.
Senator Paul, it's Willie Geist. We've been talking a lot this morning about Aleppo and President Assad's apparent victory over the city there and the horrible pictures that we're seeing and the stories that we're hearing. A little bit of revisionist history over the last 5.5 years. What do you believe the United States could have done to prevent the scenes we're seeing this morning?
All right. Well, you know, it's impossible to look at the images and not feel it in your gut and just not to feel how horrible it is. And I think it's easy, and many people are saying now, why aren't we doing more? But I guess the other question could be, why 6 years ago did we decide to do so much? Because we did make promises, and maybe false promises, that we're going to come in and make the world right, and make the world safe for democracy, and we probably gave false expectations to those fighting Assad. But at the same time, there were a lot of downside to pushing Assad back. That's where ISIS grew in that space. Very complicated war with 1,500 different factions fighting Assad, many of whom who don't like us, don't like Israel, don't like our ways, but really don't like Assad either. So I don't know, it's really sad, and I don't know there's an easy solution now what to do, but I think we could have done something different 4, 5, 6 years ago than what we did.
Rand Paul, very quickly, we've only got 15 seconds here, but are you concerned like me that big government republicanism may be coming back to D.C., tax cuts, massive defense spending, no entitlement reform, huge outlays in transportation spending? Is this going to be a replay of Bush republicanism?
Absolutely. Senate Republicans are putting forward a budget that will never balance. I won't vote for it because there have to be some remaining fiscal conservatives in Washington.
Senator Rand Paul.